Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to How We Grow, the vacation rental show. I'm really excited to bring you guys an amazing guest today. He has a passion for our industry that is just phenomenal. His name is Damian Sheridan. And Damian, you have several conferences that you put together. Today, I want you to talk about direct bookings because this show is set specifically to property owners and property managers to help them grow their business. And so what we want to talk about is direct bookings today. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself. You have a fascinating background.
Wow, thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Lynell. Yeah, my name is Damian Sheridan. I'm the director of the Book Direct Show and the Scale Rental Show. And I've been involved in the vacation rental industry for 20 years now, which is incredible to think. My first property in southern Spain through to now when we have conferences where we host hundreds of property managers. It's been quite the ride. I have a few properties that I own and rent throughout in Europe. And yeah, alongside that, I work as an SEO strategist. So I help property management companies with their organic online rankings, whilst also directing a couple of conferences. So,
wow. Tell us about direct bookings. I had a guest on recently, and we were opining a little bit as to the fact that people have become a lot inured in a way, and they become dependent on our OTAs, and they don't have as much strategy built around their direct bookings. So tell me what your strategy would be around direct bookings. And I understand that's why you're in SEO, because it goes hand in hand. Yeah.
So, well, I guess my own journey, because it starts back 20 odd years ago, it was a very different time. My mindset has been different to perhaps somebody who has come along maybe in the last 10 years and has been able to list a property on Airbnb and get a ton of bookings into their lap and not have to worry too much about trying to get direct bookings. For me, it was always the case. You got your own bookings. Print advertising, which, is not really a thing anymore, but that's something that I relied upon back in the day until the digital world took over and life changed as we know it and listing sites changed. But, even still, I've seen the journey of listing sites, OTAs like Airbnb, Booking, Expedia, Vrbo, etc., how their service and offering has changed so much over the last 5-6 years, especially, where we moved to instant bookings, which a lot of people were not happy about. But hey, it's hard to imagine any other way now. But the lack of control and that lack of data that we never get from our guests. We're not able to communicate properly with our guests by sending links. We can't send a phone number, various things like this. That means we're very restricted as hosts. So I've seen this change significantly over the last 10 years. And alongside working with my clients on their SEO, their search engine optimization, what my mission now is to get across, both in my work and in the events, is that every single one of us as a host or as a big property manager, we all have it in us to drive more direct bookings and to reduce that reliance upon OTAs. It can seem a bit daunting at first, but that's even just starting with a simple website where you can refer people to.
Okay. So people listening to here, what are the top 3 things that they need to think about in order to really increase direct bookings?
I guess it depends where people are on their journey. But let's say at the very start of that journey, having a website for sure, that not only gives your prospective guests somewhere to book, but also lends you a bit more credibility. People think you are actually real. You have an offering there and you have a space where that people can check out a little bit more about you rather than just those simple listings across the OTAs.
Let me ask you this. Would you recommend that homeowners ask their property managers for a website as well? We used to have this when we first started in the business, I guess about 17 years ago for our clients. We were doing marketing for them. We offered individual websites that were automated. They got to choose their color. They got to choose this, but it automatically pulled the data from the property manager. So the homeowner didn't have to do that. It was an offering from the property manager to the homeowner. The book link went directly to the property manager. That flew really well for the first 6 years. And then after that, with OTAs that came in, things changed.
I think in theory, it's a nice idea, but it very much depends on the relationship and the agreement between the property manager and the owner. because you can have exclusive rights or you can just have a commission-based agreement upon bookings. So it very much depends on case to case. Normally, if a property manager is taking over a unit on behalf of an owner, they take care of everything. So they will logically have their own website where their guests can book. They have their channels spread across numerous OTAs. So whilst I think it's nice for owners to have their own landing pages, for example, where they can send guests to book themselves, it's not that common in this day and age.
No, it's totally not. That's why I was asking. I know it's not common.
No, I think, it's perhaps something that was more common maybe 5 to 10 years or so ago.
Well, we were talking about having your own website. I think most property managers have their own website. So I didn't know if you were talking to them or to the owners.
You would be very surprised, Lynell. I come across numerous property management companies and large ones that have got hundreds or even thousands of properties that do not have a guest-facing website for guests to book. It's incredible. Their only website presence is for acquisition of new owners, new properties.
They don't book on their websites?
They don't. No, there's no place for guests to book. It's only to acquire new properties.
Okay, I am shocked. I admit I'm naive.
Yeah, it's incredible. I tried to book a place in France about 2 years or so ago, found the company on a listing site, went to try and find them. No website at all. They have over 2,000 properties, majority in France, but across Europe, nowhere to book.
They're just using OTAs?
It's just using OTAs. Yeah. My hope is that they're using other ways to try and drive direct bookings, but without a website, that's going to be pretty limited.
Well, there's so much more money if you do it direct.
This is the thing, Lynell. Yeah, there's obviously money, and the commission is the first thing we all think of. We can save up to, say, 20% on commissions, but really it's bigger than that. And it's more about the control and the independence that we have, because we lack that data when we have bookings via OTAs. And we can't communicate in the ways we want. We can't apply our own damage deposits. We can't accept payment whenever we want. There's so many things that are out of our control, and we have to work by their rules, and we don't implement our own rules. So that our whole way of working changes. So for me, it's even more important than just the commission. It's the whole structure and nature of the way we work has changed.
Absolutely. Direct bookings are the most profitable bookings. If you have people that are directed to your website, well, for lots of reasons, they also come back, don't they?
They do, exactly. Repeat bookings is integral, really, for direct, because it is very hard to get a direct booking over the line when they have seen you, say, on an OTA, like on Airbnb. Those websites have a huge amount of trust. People, they know their payments are going to be secure. Do they know their payment is going to be secure on your website? They may not. Can they be 100% sure that you're a real company? Maybe not necessarily. So that trust element is really important. And again, that's something we fall down on sometimes, especially as smaller property managers, really getting over the line how we are trustworthy, showing pictures of ourselves, having bios, making it very succinct that we accept credit card payments, for example, for added protection, things like this that you can get across on a website, but many times we don't. And it's an anonymous website, which doesn't say anything about us as a person, as a brand. So, sometimes why would somebody book with you over an OTA? So this is the difficulty we all have. And we all have that start on that journey of trust. And I think building that is vital.
So the question we ask ourselves, I love the question you just posed. Why should they book on your website as opposed to the OTA's website? Especially if you don't have the data you're talking about, the content that you're talking about. What other SEO advice would you give to property managers?
SEO is a tricky one because it's not the first thing I would suggest people work on. In terms of an online branding and position, Google Business Profile would be one of the first things I would suggest anybody work on. And that's literally a facility offered by Google for free where we can build our brand and our brand to be recognized for searches of that particular brand name.
Do they call it Google Business now instead of Google Local?
It's called Google Business Profile now. It's gone through a couple of steps. That, for me, is one of the initial steps.
Okay, tell them why it's important.
Because, for example, if you think of a brand name that you might search online, like Coca-Cola, for argument's sake, or Ford, when we search on the number one search engine out there, you will know that quite often you get what's called the knowledge panel down the right-hand side, and that's information all about that brand. And it can include reviews, in our case, for short-term rentals, but also pictures, opening hours, just a whole load of information about that particular brand. It not only helps just with the trust and credibility, again, just reinforce that you're a real entity and a credible business, but also just to empower your brand name across the internet as such, and potentially to drive people towards your site that may not have even found you before. So it's just a case of the first step, building your brand. Google Business Profile is really important. I'd say that would be one of the first steps for me.
This episode of How We Grow is sponsored by Super Control. From one property to hundreds, homeowners and property management companies trust Super Control's all-in-one property management system and channel manager to run more than 45,000 rental properties around the world. From attracting direct bookings on your website, automating guest communications, syncing your channels, and making payments easy, Super Control facilitates your success. Learn more at supercontrol.co.uk to discover our booking software.
Let's give them another reason. There's another reason. What do you think about this? When you fill out that profile, if you were to go to location, whatever location it is, vacation rentals, if you have a business profile where you show that you do vacation rentals on Google, on the left-hand side, it's not paid. It's Google that's saying, oh, all these businesses do vacation rentals. That's free advertisement for you if you come up there, because you think about it. If you're going to look for a doctor or a dermatologist, say you wanted to get a new dermatologist, you're going to type in area that you're in, dermatologist. Same thing if you're going to do a vacation rental, you're going to type in your area and a vacation rental if you're looking there. And this group of local businesses come up. How important is it for them to be in that group of local businesses?
It's very important, but it's actually very hard, because Google now will prioritize their partners, their official partners, which are OTAs in most cases. So it actually can be very difficult to rank and to be positioned in those local maps.
Okay, in the US, it's different. Those that we see on the left-hand side when we bring up our Google page, those are not paid partnerships at all. These are ones that have reviews. The ones with the most reviews on Google, those are coming up first. So what we've done in some of our marketing strategies for property managers is we've directly put a link to this Google Local, we call it, but Google Business, it's the same thing, page where they can go and make a review, the guest when they leave, right there on Google. And that's juice that you can't buy. That's not paid for results, right? That's the one I was talking about.
Google Reviews has got a major influence on that particular ranking. It's what I tell every one of my clients: work on Google Reviews. We tend to get a bit obsessed about Airbnb specifically to try and regain superhost status. And we try to make sure all of our guests just make sure you review us within those 2 weeks, or Airbnb, but don't forget Google. And you can make that URL really simple as well and shortened. And it's such an easy thing to do. And it's just got so much visibility across the internet when someone Googles either, as you say, vacation rentals or the brand name. So that would be one alongside, after you set up your Google profile, that would be then one of the next steps that I will be looking at afterwards to build up your brand and your reputation.
Absolutely. I agree. The reputation is really important for the property manager. Let me ask you, what other SEO techniques would you suggest for property managers that have been in the business for a while? Look, after you've been in it for years and you're still trying to grow, what type of SEO would you suggest for them for direct bookings?
Well, I think the first step is actually to recognize that you want to jump into SEO. I think that's the first thing, because it's not a quick win. If you're going to be serious about SEO, you need to realize that this is an ongoing thing that's going to be going for years. And it may take you like a year or two to actually see the results, to see milestones. Make sure you have Google Analytics installed and you're checking it, because without that, from day one, you won't know what those milestones are. Your data is so important, because without it, you don't know whether people are visiting your websites. You don't have any data or information about your visitors, when they're coming. Has something made them come to your site? What are the referrals from social media, from posts or blogs that you've put out there? So I think that would be one of the most important things early on. make sure you've got some kind of data analytics. Google Analytics is by far the most used. But yeah, for me, it's do not expect quick results. When you're going to do this properly, and if you want to have a successful SEO campaign, be thinking a year plus before you'll actually reap the rewards. Content, hugely important, but an important part of publishing new content is not content for content's sake. Quality content, long form content for me, doing really thorough keyword research as well. And that's harder than you may think, to know what your prospective guests and travelers are looking for online.
What tool do you use for that keyword research?
SEMrush and another couple. But actually, people don't necessarily need to use paid tools. Google in itself provides so much free research for you by just using the search box, using the predictive results, using the related to questions, all the FAQs, all these things on a Google search page. It's incredible how much information you can get about a given area, a property type. So I would start at the beginning like that. Make sure you know what your guests are looking for. Start to write content around that. Don't try to rank for Miami vacation rentals or something like that, because you will never win against the OTAs. And be patient, because it's a long game, but a hugely successful one if done correctly, if done methodically and patiently.
Well, let me ask you this. The Book Direct and the Scale Rentals, those two, tell me about them and tell me why you started these.
So the Book Direct show was quite simple. I worked with many clients, predominantly in Europe, but a couple in the US, who were property management companies who wanted to get more direct bookings. That's why they started SEO campaigns. They didn't have the time or the knowledge to do it, to its max. So they employed me to help them out for a couple of years. They would often ask me, hey, can you help us with our social media? Or can you help us with our branding? Because we're getting the right results there. Let's do other stuff. And I would say, I can't. That's not my skill set. I'm not a creative person. I'm not a massive fan of social media, and I don't know how to get the best out of it. But I do know other people who are good at this. So we brought some people in, and I would give referrals out. The more that happened, the more I thought, hey, maybe we should be bringing people together in some kind of community whereby owners, managers can get the best out of all of these people, and really just to try and maximize all of these routes to direct bookings. So that idea just grew, snowballed. And one day I was in London 3 years ago, and I just put some money down on a hotel and I said, let's do this. And we had our first Book Direct show on the end of February 2020. So not the best timing in the world, but we had amazing feedback. We had about 100 property managers there. And so we did another online one later on that year, moving on to our fifth one this year in Barcelona.
Wow. Good for you. So helpful to people.
Thank you. It's feeding the appetite for direct bookings. And the main message for us is that it's so actionable. It's such a tangible thing to get direct bookings. We all have it in us. You don't need to launch into an SEO strategy. There are so many little things, and we've spoken about a few of them now. So we want to make all of these things really easy for people to understand, simple ways. Boom, we can all do this together, no matter what size company we are.
So we've talked about with growth. We've talked about the fact that they need a website. That's number one. And we've talked about the fact that content, and that's content that's not just for content's sake, but content about the vacation rentals that you do is important on the website. And we've talked a little bit about how Google Analytics is really important. I think that one of the things I want to ask you about is you do vacation rentals, you have some of your own. Tell me your favorite guest story.
So in my place in the south of Spain, we've had several hundred guests over the years. One that jumps out is probably our favorite guests. In fact, they're repeat guests. They come twice or three times a year from the Scotland Islands. They take 2 flights down, and they come every February, every October. Lovely, lovely couple. Anyway, one time I was living in London at the time, so I wasn't living in Spain. I got a call from them to say that they were locked in the apartment.
Locked in the apartment?
Locked in, yeah. So I thought, oh my goodness, what's happened? They called, and they were very calm about it. They were just reading the book, but they said, it's okay, there's no rush, but can you get a locksmith? We're locked in, the key's not working, it won't open. So we thought, oh my goodness, we couldn't work it out. I was calling locksmiths in the town. It's a small little Spanish whitewash village. There's not that many.
What's the name of it? I have to know. I love Spain.
It's a town called Sevillana. It's near a town called Nerja, which is in the south of Spain. So anyway, I told them, I'm so sorry. It's going to be a couple of hours before the locksmith can come. They were fine. They're like, not a problem. We're fine. We're happy here. We're out in the balcony. No problem. I got a call from them an hour later then. Damian, it's okay. We're all fine. We just hadn't moved the key to the horizontal position to open the door properly to get out.
Oh, wow.
And they were so apologetic, but we just couldn't help but laugh about it.
That's a first to be locked in. It's different than to be locked in and locked out.
Exactly.
That's different.
It was a first and a last.
I hope that everybody listening will take a look at where can they find information about the shows that you're actually hosting and making happen for property managers and owners.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year we're focusing mostly on Europe. We weren't able to quite get our US show over the line, but we had one in Miami last year. The Book Direct show, if anyone's interested in direct booking strategies, we have that coming up in Barcelona in May 16th. And that we have about 150 people coming to that. The website is bookdirect.show. And our Scale Rentals show, which is for professional property managers, and those are ones who are managing 25 plus units. That's a conference over 2 days. And the website is scaleRentals.show. And you are all welcome to join us. We'd be delighted to have you. And for our American cousins, we will be back in the US in 2024. So we'll be doing exciting things there.
Where is the Scale Rentals show?
In Barcelona as well.
That one's in Barcelona.
Yes.
Now, I just want to make sure.
It's all over 1 week. We are trying to consolidate everything into 1 week to make it easier for people to come and get the most out of several events. So we have a brand called the Short Stay Week to throw another into the mix. So it's 1 week of about 7 events that we're hosting or co-hosting. We've got an SEO event that we just spoke about. We've got an SEO summit.
I love it.
Guest communication event, Web3 event, a luxury event. We've got a lot of things going on over that week. We're hoping that there's something in there for every host or property manager in the world. So yes, please come join us mid-May in Barcelona. There's something for everyone, we believe.
That sounds great. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being with us today.
No problem. Thanks so much, and I really appreciate the invitation.
You're very welcome.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Super Control. To find out more about how Super Control can help you grow your vacation rental business, visit supercontrol.co.uk. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.